there's no changes on the consent agenda, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll support that. So motion by Staggy, support by Walker to approve the consent agenda. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We need to back up to the meeting agenda. Yeah, I forgot one additional item there. I added the presentation by Molly Whetstone, but I forgot we do have one other new business item on the consent agenda that came in today, and that is consideration of approval in the amount of $475 to Brian's Superior Seal Coating for striping the new pavement at Magoon Creek and Sunland Parks. So we need to amend our motion for approval of the new pavement at Magoon Creek and Sunland Parks. Any discussion on that? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. At this time, I am going to turn it over to Molly. If you would like to give your presentation regarding Pivot Point.
Pivot Point, yes. Pivot and Point. I didn't realize your board meeting was tonight, so when I was in this morning for office hours, Tammy said, well, it's on tonight. Pivot Point is a program that works in conjunction with your BSNA. It's loaded on tablets like yours that go out into the field, that you draw on it, you do your field notes on it, you do your pictures on it, and then it uploads it to the cloud and downloads it to the program. And then instead of us having all of the books, everything gets scanned into the parcel. We are asking all of our townships to do this. It's going to bring us into the 21st century. And this is a company that works in conjunction with BSNA. So they work hand in hand together. And what'd you think about your letter?
Good.
It was pretty good. That was a lot of hard work.
I saw
Very
that.
good. A lot of hard work.
So, does the board have any questions of Molly regarding this proposal for Pivot Point?
Is this every year then?
Yes. And we do get updated maps with it and the ability to update our aerial maps faster than the county will.
So basically, it's $750 for this first year, and then that's going to be recurring each year.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
914 actually, Terry. You got $164.50.
No, no.
We got a discount.
It's a
Oh, you got a
flat-
discount. Oh,
Flat
there you
rate,
go.
flat rate, Richard, I got it covered for you.
There you go. Molly just earned her fee.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept this Pivot Point proposal.
I'll second.
Motion by Kalinowski, second by Stege, to accept the proposal from Pivot Point for the assessing program at the cost of $750 per year, recurring cost. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And I do have a contract for you to sign that I will forward you.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm just gonna ask you that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Okay, then if we move on to our department and committee reports. Item A, the Operations Services monthly report is in your packet. Also, a copy of the proposed contract, 3-year contract, which we have that on our agenda for discussion and possible approval tonight, but I'm not sure that we're at that point that we're ready to approve it. You know, Shirley and I talked with Richard this afternoon regarding that contract. We're still waiting for some information from Operations Services. And there's, as you can see in there, the annual cost increase is somewhat substantial. So I think we need to go through that with a fine-tooth comb and look at the services that are being provided. There are a few services that they're proposing to eliminate, and we need to get a little more information from them regarding chemical costs, annual chemical costs. They are asking us to take that cost over. Basically, initial discussions that I had with Josh Hall on that was the fact that they have to pay taxes on that, of course, and if we purchase the chemicals, then there's no tax, so it's some savings. But I've asked for a 3-year review of what their costs have been for chemicals, and I haven't gotten that yet. So Shirley did go back and look today. Township was paying for chemicals back, it was what, 2004, 5, and 6, or 5, 6, and 7. And so we looked at those costs, but it's kind of hard to compare the costs at that time to what they are today. So I'm waiting to get some updated information on that. So I guess at this point, if you have comments or questions regarding this new contract,
Well, the biggest thing is the cost, the
Yep.
increased cost.
Yeah, big increase. And I don't know if any of you still have the previous contract to look at, to go through and do comparisons, but if you want it, we can provide it. But I would ask that you go through that proposal, read it through carefully, and you know, jot down any questions or comments that you have regarding that, so we can really delve into it a little bit deeper.
I think we get a couple of people and go through that thing real and check, make sure. I would just want to know why it's so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's plan on taking a look at that in a little more detail, and you know, we may want to put an RFP out and get some other proposals to take a look at too. So
I know it got more expensive for them on some of the breakdowns and stuff like that, looking at just what they said. But I still think that's pretty high.
yeah, it's a substantial increase over the last one. So, and I recognize costs have gone up considerably, but we need to do our due diligence on this before we accept it. Okay, moving on to item B then, your sewer report is in your...
You did forget public comments.
Oh, yes, I did. You're right, under, yeah, my bad. So let's jump back. And actually, I don't even have it on my printed agenda here. No, I do. I'm sorry, my bad. Okay, yes, prior to Molly's presentation, I should have asked for public comment, which I did not, so we certainly have a lot of public here tonight. Public comment. Public comment.
We were agenda item, we're not public comment.
I don't know that I see you on
Oh,
here.
yeah, I can do it now if you wish.
Pardon me?
The public comment, I'm sure we're part of communications and announcements, we're Pine Ridge
Okay,
irrigation.
yeah, under, yes, okay, we can deal with it. We can deal with that. We've already done our presentation, so if there's no other comment at this time, then we'll move it right into communications, item B, Pine Ridge irrigation.
May I sit here, please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
If you'd just introduce yourself to the board, please.
My name is Gary Schlickert. I reside at 636 Ravine Drive. I'm part of the Board of Directors for Pine Ridge Owners Association. I am the president. I am here to discuss, make you aware, ask for your help regarding an irrigation problem that was caused by the township, of which had an almost catastrophic impact on our plant life in Pine Ridge. If you're not familiar with Pine Ridge, we're just down the road. We have 44 units. We contribute millions of dollars in tax dollars to Filer Township, and we pay thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to support the water. Now the problem is that the valve that should have been shut off last year was not. And what it caused to do is cause for several unions to break, and for valves to fail, and for us to be without water for 6 weeks during the most critical time, growing season, which is in the spring and early summer. I met with Mr. Walker and Mr. Newsom as a board. Pardon me, the board met with Mr. Walker and Mr. Newsom in July, and we presented what our damages were. Our damages for repair to the valves that we had put into that should have been the responsibility of Filer Township was $3,034. We had approximately $5,000 worth of repairs that we have not yet put in forth, but I can show you pictures of the damage to the greenery. Could I get someone just to walk that up for me? Okay. These are just some pictures of what we currently have, the damage to our lawn. We came up with $5,000, 44 units, approximately $120 per unit. We feel that we don't know what it's actually going to cost. We found out today that there may be one additional bill, and that is for a union replacement cost that had to be done. I have Mr. Mitchell, Dave Mitchell from Bessie Valley, who did some of the repairs, had some of the conversations with Mr. Newsom's predecessor, some gentleman by the name of Jeremy, regarding having these valves shut off last year and in previous years. as well as the upkeep that needed to be done on this valve as early as 2021, that this was going to fail and there was going to be bigger problems. We've also asked, because we had to put through so much water to try to revive the grass that we had, we'd asked for a $3,000 reduction in our water bill for the summer. So, in brief summary, repair costs to Betsy Valley of $3,034, a reduction of her phone bill for $3,000. We may have another valve replacement, I'm going to have Dave explain what that is, but another cost that was done that we have not yet received an invoice for, but I was just made aware of that today. And lastly, a rebate of $3,000 on our bill. Now, all of this seems to be quite straightforward, except the township does not accept any responsibility at all on this. And that's where we have a real problem. Now, with your permission, Mr. Walker, I'd like to have Betsy Valley come up and explain exactly where the disconnect came and what his version of events were.
Gary, I would like to have our water operator, Mr. Newsom, also reply to some of your comments and Betsy Valley's comments. You mentioned 2021 problems with water operator. Jeremy was not here at that point in time. We still had Mike Hiller at that point in time, and I don't recall any conversation with Mike regarding issues with Pine Ridge irrigation system.
With all due respect, Mr. Walker, it's not my responsibility for your employees to relate those things to you.
Yeah,
my responsibility is making sure that the Fire Township and Betsy Valley are held accountable for our shareholders, or I should say our property owners, and that's where I feel we have been really abused in this situation.
Okay, well, and let me just, our responsibility, Gary, ends at the shutoff valve for your irrigation system, just like it does for your housing water supply. And I don't know, I can't speak to the technicalities, the valves, etc. Downstream from that. I don't know. That's where I'm going to rely on our water operator to speak to that, and you can certainly have your person speak up.
I'm Dave Mitchell. I'm the president and owner of Betsy Valley Irrigation. I've been in the irrigation industry for 33 years. We roughly maintain over 600 irrigation systems. We've been taking care of Pine Ridge since 2009. We work with 10 different water municipalities within the 6-county area. The first couple of years when we took over Pine Ridge, we asked Fowler Township to come out and turn the valve on and off. We were told at that point that if we wanted to turn the valve on and off ourselves, if we wanted to go ahead and do that. And so we've been operating under that scenario since 2009. In the fall of 2021, we shut your valve off, and about a couple days later, we noticed there was still water weeping out of the backflow. So we called your township, and I think it was Mike that came out. I've dealt with Mike on numerous times. And he said, well, let me mess around with it a couple times to see if I can get it to shut off. And so the first time they come out, they couldn't get it to shut off all the way, but the second time they got it to seal. In the fall of 2022, we couldn't get the valve off, and so on October 6th of 2022, we called Jeremy. who was in your employment at that time, if I'm correct. And I have his cell number. And the thing about cell phones nowadays, they track every call you make. And so we have a record on my son, Matt's cell phone, that he called Jeremy's cell number on October 6th and asked him to come out and shut the valve off. We were told at that time that within a week the valve would be shut off. Well, it was continuing to bypass water. We called again on October 24th. Jeremy came out and had a face-to-face talk with my son. And I'm going to quote what he told my son. Jeremy told us that he will call a contractor to replace that valve. The first week of November, the valve was still on. When it got colder in November, the water was going up into the backflow and it froze the backflow. So what we had done in October is we shut the main valve off to the backflow so it can get into the rest of the system. When the pipe goes into the pump house, then it goes through your meter first, it goes through our master zone valve, it goes through our flow meter, and then it goes out into the system. So we normally plug in out by the backflow and clear that pipe into the pump house, and then we can plug in into pump house and blow the whole system out from there. So what we did last October, when you guys did not shut your water off, is we shut the backflow off to prevent water from going into the pump house, and we blew the rest of the system from the pump house out. Well, when the valve did not get shut off, then that backflow froze, and it let water all the way into the pump house to a valve that we had shut off so it couldn't get out into the field outside. Our records show that you guys did not come out to December 5th to shut that off. By then, all the damage had already been done. So if your man has any questions for me, I'm willing to answer them.
Okay. Josh, anything you want to reply?
Hey, I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Hi. So you called me on December 4th, December 5th, and said the valve wouldn't shut off. And I told you I didn't know anything about it, first I heard of it. I'll get it shut off. I called you back. I have to look at my phone records, but around the 7th and told you I had it shut off.
Right.
Right.
And it had already froze by then.
Yeah, but the PVB had froze and cracked.
And the water had got into the pump house and froze everything else.
Gotcha.
We dealt with Jeremy in October, and he quoted us in saying that he would have a contractor replace that valve.
Gotcha.
And that's what we were going on.
Gotcha. Well, I know that when I called you and told you I did have it shut off.
Mm-hmm. And we went down and tried to blow that out, and it was already froze. All the damage had been done by then. I mean, this is December.
Gotcha. Right.
We normally have all irrigation off by
the PVB had cracked.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't frozen.
It was
I was able to turn the bulb.
But the valve was letting water through into the pump house.
Shouldn't have gone through. But that I can't answer.
Well, I've been doing this a long time.
So I know I got it shut off. I told you it was shut off.
We've been doing this for 33 years. I've never had an irrigation system freeze before.
Gotcha.
You know, my reputation as a businessman is everything.
Right. Well, and that's what I said. When I told you I had it shut off on that date, I did, and that's the first I heard.
The damage had already been done. There's no argument there.
Okay. And I without being able to talk to Jeremy here, I don't know what he did or did not do in 2022, unfortunately. When Josh contacted me to meet with him down there, you know, I went down and he showed me stuff and explained things to me, and that was my first knowledge of this problem. So, Richard, you had your hand up.
Well, yeah, Terry, just something that the board needs to keep in mind, and that is that, you know, I sympathize with the Pine Ridge folks here, but the township has governmental immunity for these claims. I mean, there's no way that we are liable to Pine Ridge for any of this. I don't know if Pine Ridge has insurance, but I would recommend that if they do, they make a claim on their insurance for the property damage. But the township doesn't have liability for this. I mean, we may have screwed up, we may not have screwed up, but it doesn't really matter because...
Doesn't matter because what?
Because we can't give you money that we are not legally obligated to pay you. And we are not legally obligated to pay any of these charges.
I asked for a reduction.
Same thing, okay? I mean, a reduction is giving you $3,000.
So your final word on this, before we take it any further, is that you're not responsible?
I don't know what the board's decision is, but my advice to the board and my recommendation to the board is yes, they are not responsible for this monetarily.
Even though your employee said he would have a contractor fix that valve.
If our employees were negligent, they are still immune, okay?
I have a question. Are you going to fix that valve before winter?
It's not, I'm the lawyer, I don't fix valves.
Well, I'm a contractor. I'm worried about their system for this winter.
I understand.
Josh, is that a valve we can get repaired
You need to have it dug up.
ASAP?
Yeah.
Get call to Forbes and, okay.
I mean, yeah, if we've got a broken plug someplace, we need to repair it.
You know,
But
are you taking into consideration that Josh is not our employee?
he's our contractor.
He's our contractor.
Right.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
He was acting as our agent. And
So you're saying a third party is responsible for the maintenance on these things?
yes, operation services is.
So do they have your same exemption? That you're saying that you hire somebody who does something wrong and they're exempt from being sued or accountable? I just want to make sure I understand this.
The township, yes. You don't, operation services, whatever it did was acting as the agent of the township. All right? Pursuant to a contract.
So if they plowed in the back end of my car and killed me, your township has no liability on that, but their insurance would have to pay on that, is that correct? So is there a representative from the services company that we should be pursuing this call with, or this claim with? Do you have an insurance company here that we should be talking to?
I don't know.
You never communicated that as an option.
I don't know, I did not know that that's an option. I do not know that that's an option.
It's not our insurance company. It's
It's-
their insurance
yeah.
company that ought to have the claim made. I mean,
With your insurance company
no.
of your agent.
Operation Services Insurance Company is what you're thinking, Gary.
You would have information for their insurance company, and we'll have our insurance company talk to your agent's insurance.
I do not know who they're insured by.
Terry, we had this conversation in July, now we're rolling into September, and a lot of this could have been done already if we had known that you have no legal responsibility to this. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, let's,
Will you be sending that information to me, please?
I would be happy to, yes. Yeah.
I have one question. When you contract with outside services, or like any of us as citizens when we contract, do you not require them to be bonded or have proof of insurance to protect the township?
Yes.
They have insurance that protects the township. Pine Ridge is not the township.
I understand that, that's not the question, but you have proof that these people have insurance,
Presumably
Yes.
insurance.
Yes, yes.
and that's what we need to pursue.
Right. But you're not going to get anywhere pursuing their insurance.
But they're the ones that caused the problem.
Why would we not get anywhere?
You need to make a claim against Pine Ridge Insurance. Pine Ridge is the party that had the loss, okay?
Right.
It's the insurance company that covers Pine Ridge's losses that, if is applicable, would be applicable in this case, okay? Operation Services did not have a loss. Filer Township did not have a loss. Operation Services insurance would cover us if the township had a loss as a result of some screw-up that Operation Services. Suppose they did something that blew up one of our wells, okay, our water wells, all right? Now that may disrupt the service of water throughout the township, but it's Operation Services insurance that pays the township for that event. It doesn't cover losses incurred by members of the public or customers of the system. That you guys, just as if you were in your own home, okay? If you have a water problem in your own home, if there's a leak or there's a flood, you call your own insurance company to resolve that claim. Just like your car insurance, okay? If you get into a car accident and need to fix your fender, you don't go after the other guy's insurance company, you make a claim against your own insurance company.
Okay.
Gary.
I just want to be sure that this information, regardless of whoever is going to pay the bill, whether it's your insurance company, of your agent, or our insurance, I would appreciate if you would please send that information to me, so that I can give it to our insurance agent, let the insurance companies haggle it out.
Yeah, I can give you contact information for Operation Services. I do not know who they are insured with.
Well, you should, you just have to keep track of who is the insurance company.
That they're insured, but yeah, I
There's a
don't.
binder that they probably had to give you.
Yeah,
So,
and,
I have
yeah,
something.
Please.
we can dig that
Thank
out. Yeah. Anything else?
Nothing from me, thank you. There's nothing else from us.
Okay, let's see. We've been jumping around a little bit.
Department and committee.
Yeah, we did item A, so we're on item B, and I believe, I don't think we covered that, did we? Did we talk about item A, sewer report?
Yeah, you went down through and talked about all the people that didn't meet.
All the people what?
That did not meet all the way through pay, what I got.
Okay,
So now we're on to the business.
okay,
Can't sue yourself.
okay, let's see. I'm not gonna skip, Jim, though, you provided a report to the board. Do you have anything else you wanted to add to your report?
No, really, the repairs to the rescue are done. And we have some problems with our heating air conditioning unit right now that Brian's Heating and Cooling is working on, trying to get that repaired. Should be done. The generator's been repaired and it's up and running again. And that was done by the Google Electric. And if you look at the numbers on the report, you'll see there was 233 runs for the year. This report was done a little bit early this month. We are actually at 254 runs for the year, which is more than a run a day. And again,
keeping in mind that there's 9 members in our fire department that are doing all that work. So I'd like to commend those folks for the job well done and the dedication that they're showing in performing those duties that they're called upon to do. So just keep that in mind when if you see any of them out there. So.
Yes, kudos to them. And maybe after, if we can talk for a couple minutes, I did have a question about one of the runs, so.
Okay, yep.
Okay. Well, that takes us to new business then. Item A is consideration of approval of the Charter Township of Filer petty cash policy. It's basically what we've already got on file.
Well, it's basically, it's what we do, but we have never had anything written as to what we do.
Okay, so this is putting our practice into writing then?
Right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to set the policy as written.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion by Brian Cruz, second by Kalineski to approve the Charter Township of Filer petty cash policy. Any discussion? Shirley, do you need to do a roll call on that?
Yeah.
I have a question. How to do that? I noticed that the tax account, petty cash, is not listed on here.
It is not petty cash. It is a separate, standalone change account that you have for making change.
Right.
It is not something that you can go back to something you go out and you go to Myers and buy
Okay, I
a
understand.
roll of paper towels.
Okay.
I hope you don't do that with the tax.
No,
Just checking.
it's just making a change. Yeah, okay.
Go ahead, Shirley.
Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Kalineski,
Yes.
Stady,
Yes.
Dean Cruz,
Yes.
Paul, yes.
Okay, item B is consideration of approval of the Charter Township of Filer capitalization policy. Shirley, you want to kind of highlight that as well?
Same thing, the result of the audit. The reason, we had one, and what we did is we changed the dollar amount, because the dollar amount that we had in there was ridiculously low. So to keep the auditors from having to deal with all those small amounts, we raised the limit.
So item D under, A sub D under the cap, Roman numeral 3, is that the change you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, I did this so long ago, the personal property C is the one that always comes out in mind, that I see a lot of that, where it was not $2,500, it is now.
Okay.
Even that is low.
Any other questions?
You don't capitalize the land itself, do you, just the building improvements?
It's listed in here, and you know, there's a lot in there that talks about land.
Yeah.
And this was actually just taken from our old capitalization policy, and the numbers were changed by our auditor.
Right, but we're not depreciating our real property, you're not depreciating Lagoon Creek or, yeah, okay, so you're not capitalizing the land, but just the buildings and improvements. it's a little unclear in paragraph 1 exactly
Yeah,
what you're doing with
we'll
the
just
land.
copy what we did. Yeah, there may be some things that should be taken
Okay.
out of here and changed again. So, we'll see.
Well, the auditors are clearly happy with whatever it is you're doing. It's done like, yeah, so. Oh, there it is. I just gotta get to the last page, it says no depreciation, so.
I'll make the motion to accept the capitalization policy.
I'll support it.
Motion by Steggy, second by, I'm sorry, thank you. Motion by Kalinowski, second by Brian Cruz to approve the Charter Township of Filer capitalization policy. Any other discussion? Okay, go ahead, Shirley.
Steggy,
Yes.
Dean Cruz,
Yes.
Kalinowski,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Ball, yes.
Okay, item C is consideration of approval for property access agreement form from Fishbeck / Stearns Drilling, and authorize the township supervisor to sign that agreement. And that is for them to be able to do some test wells, monitoring wells on our township property that we're looking at for the Hamlet project, particularly to monitor, or I shouldn't say monitor, but check for PFAS. And
Harry?
yes.
Before you approve those going forward, do we have, I haven't been kept too much up to date as to where the DDA is with the developer for the Hamlet project. But whoever that is that's working on the design, if there is somebody working on a design for the Hamlet project, that we ought to put them in touch with Fishbeck and maybe give Fishbeck some areas of that property that we do not want a monitoring well. I mean, if they put a monitoring well where, is it Gearling or whoever it is?
Yeah, Gearling's development, yeah.
That has set aside as a building, you know, that's going to screw up the development plans. So this is an area where a little pre-coordination between Fishbeck and Gearling might keep us from tripping over ourselves 2 years from now when we want to go forward with
let me
that
bring
project.
you up to speed then, Richard. Susan Wenslick with Fishbeck has been contracted by the township to guide us through this development process, or funding of the development process with Gearlings. One of her associates with Fishbeck is now working with Gearlings, and they they have been apprised of where they want to put these test wells. Initially, we did let them know that they maybe need to take a look at our sewer design maps of Wade Trim, because they're talking about in the neighborhood of the lift station, and since we have infrastructure in the ground there, so they are aware of that, and
All right.
yeah.
I just want to make sure that somebody had thought of that.
I know as soon as that came up, both Tamara and myself kind of jumped on it and said, hey, wait a minute, that's, you got to be aware we've got infrastructure in there. So, and they were made aware of that, and you know, we're going to do some further exploration. So,
all right, perfect. I didn't have any other comments on the permission form.
Okay.
I think
if there was,
I transmitted that to Tamara or you.
Yeah, that Mike Rank is the gentleman's name with Fishbeck Stearns Drilling, and he said he would be available by phone during our meeting tonight if we had any questions that we could call and ask. So if there are no questions, we'll go ahead. with a motion on this, but if there is other questions or discussion, certainly bring it up now. Okay, then I would entertain a motion for approval for the access agreement form.
I will make that motion. I'll support it.
Motion by Steggy, second by Brian Cruz to approve the property access agreement form from Fishbeck Stearns Drilling and to authorize the township supervisor to sign. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor
Should
of...
we call the roll?
Yeah, if you think we need to, that's fine.
Okay. Dean Cruz,
Yes.
Kalinowski,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Stady,
Yes.
Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Paul.
Okay, item D is consideration of approval in the amount of $4,186 to Kerr Pump and Supply for well number 3 motor inspection and bench testing. And you're probably aware that our well 3 has been down for a while now, and we need to get that addressed so that if we should have any issues with well 2 or well 4, we can use 3 to fill in.
I'll make a motion to accept that bid.
I'll second it.
A motion by Brian Cruz, second by Kalinowski to approve the Kerr Pump and Supply quote for well number 3 motor inspection and bench testing in the amount of $4,186. Any other discussion?
I'll get that one up and running then when they get done with that.
Well, that's to pull it and check it out and see what it needs in addition. Josh?
Yeah, I just want to add on that. When I ran that well for Fishbeck to do their annual monitoring, a seal blew inside the motor, so we had to keep pouring oil into it to keep it running so they could get their samples out. So
Yeah.
I mean, it still works, but it blew some kind of a seal out internally, so we couldn't put it into production if we needed it in a pinch. We would be able to get it.
Right.
Oil on all the time.
Yeah, and you did give me that information.
Yep.
So this is to basically to pull it.
Correct.
And
take it back to the shop and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, and so there could be additional cost depending on the extent of the repairs needed. This is to pull it and transport it back to their shop to take it apart and diagnose. Thanks, Josh. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion in a second. Shirley, you want to do a roll call on this as well?
Brian Cruz?
Yes.
Stady?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Paul? Yes. Kalinowski?
Yes.
Dean Cruz?
Yes.
Okay, item E is consideration of Wade Trim proposal for professional services for well number 3 replacement. You have that in your packet, and that is for design and engineering survey fee of $65,000. And that gives you the scope for that. Joe is here tonight, so if you have questions, he can answer them directly. I had emailed Joe also and asked him if this is approved and test well is successful and so on, then what are we looking at moving forward to get an operational well? And he sent me that information as well. So if you have any questions, certainly speak up. Joe can address those for you. The information that he sent me, just for your information, this test well and production well, the $65,000, that's for the engineering, which kind of covers both. But then the test well construction estimate is $142,000. A production well, if the test well pans out and everything is good with that, production well construction estimate is $440,000. And then construction inspection estimate, rough guess of $20,000, bringing the total cost to $667,000. That's for this test well, and then to move it on into a production well if everything pans out.
So where's the test well going to be?
The exact location of the test well isn't picked, but when we did the state revolving fund report, we looked at all the township properties and trying to get it on the same property as well 3 currently is.
So we save on the infrastructure for a building and...
Yeah, if it's permittable and Eagle agrees, there's still some discussion. They won't come out and look until you actually start submitting stuff.
Okay.
But the idea is to put it next to infrastructure that's existing. You save costs on building a new well house, new electronics, running electricity to it, all that infrastructure that comes on the site.
So that's the proposed site then?
That's the proposed site. Exactly where it's at on the property, not sure.
Right.
But there's significant savings in not building a new well house.
Because we're looking at like $900,000 if it was going to be in a
correct
location.
Yeah, the cost of building the building and the utilities is pretty substantial.
Right.
Included in this one that's not there right now is a new generator for permanent backup power. So that's, getting that installed and gas around is the cost.
So that's a considerable reduction in cost if we can get it on site here.
The last time I saw it 10 years ago for a well house, it was $100,000. So I can only imagine it's double that.
Right. Okay.
So this is all just kind of hinging in on Eagle's approval for the site?
For the proposal, we've already had some discussions with Eagle on like step-by-step what they need from us in order to get something to a production well and permit it. So we have their internal checklist of all the things that needs to happen. So it's just working through all the steps and taking the proper tests. And the goal is to put in a well that will produce more than well 3 currently does, because that'll up your output. Oh gosh.
Well, there's issues with 3 anyway, right? With the sand and that
sand. And that was the lowest producing well, I believe.
I did not know.
Yeah.
I think currently it is, since we had well 2
and 4
redone, it increased its output a little bit.
So when you have a system with 3 wells that run 2 towers, you have to look at your system and take out your highest producing wells, say something happens to it and it goes down, and the 2 remaining wells supply your max day demand. And right now you can, but it's touch and go, and well 3 is one that you're hinging on, and it's said it hasn't been running a whole lot. So if you could make this new well your highest producing well, or close to, then you'd be in really good shape for your max day demand.
And your test will tell us what it'll produce?
Yeah, they'll do a drawdown test and see what it can produce, what size motor to put in. I'm hoping that there's a way to help to use well 3 as it currently sits to save on some drilling costs for monitoring wells. So I'm not sure if they'll allow it, but I don't see, that's a possibility.
That's all up to Eagle.
Yes. Yeah, the people who have the permits.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Joe.
We accept that.
And I'll second that motion. So we got a motion by Brian Cruz, a second by Walker to approve the professional services for well 3 replacement, for Trim's proposal in the amount of $65,000.
Yes, that is 65,000.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Looks like you're ready, Shirley. Go ahead.
Okay, Walker,
Yes.
Ball, yes. Cruz,
Yes.
Stady,
Yes.
Kalinowski,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Okay, item F is consideration of approval in the amount of $3,300 to Brian Superior Seal Coating, dated August 31st, 2023 for road repair on 28th Street.
That's where by the credit union?
Yes, yeah,
What
just,
was the reason for that water break?
Galvanized service line, it was old.
Old line? Okay, that's all I wanted.
It rusted out in 2 different places under the road.
Okay, I was just wondering how old that line was. How big is that line?
It's an 1.5 inches.
and that was another one that couldn't be pulled through, had to be totally dug up like 21st Street.
That, yeah, water main in there is the old AC cement. There's actually three smaller service lines that come together in like a manifold device that then tie into this dead 1.5 pipe. And so yeah, there was no way to get around that one.
So it's new all the way up to by the credit union now then?
To the curb box,
To the curb
which
box.
is right by the sidewalk.
Okay.
So our portion of it, yes.
I see it dug into their yard there too.
Yeah, that was to get to the curb box, which is right by the sidewalk. So it's-
Okay.
our portion is new. The metal end is theirs. I don't know how old it is.
Must be as old as their building probably.
Probably.
I'll make a motion, we accept that bid by Brian's Seal Coating.
I don't think I have that.
Go, Tom.
Second it.
Okay, motion by Brian Cruz, second by Kalinowski to approve the bid from Brian Superior Seal Coating in the amount of $3,300 for the repairs to 28th Street. Any other discussion?
When do you think he can get that done?
Not tomorrow.
Next day, I hope?
No, he didn't give me a date, but.
You know, they got it filled pretty good.
Yeah, it's filled well, but it's pretty bumpy.
Well, it's not good, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, but he said he would, he'd get it on his calendar as quick as he can. I know 21st Street, we waited for him for a while there, but he got to it, I think, as quick as anybody else would, and he did a really good job on that one. I'd say that's probably the smoothest patch on 21st Street that we've had done there, so.
He does pretty good work.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't vote yet, did we?
No.
Okay. Shirley, you want to do a roll call on that one as well?
Stady,
Yes.
Kalinowski,
Yes.
Brian Cruz,
Yes.
Ball, yes. Walker,
Yes.
Cruz.
Yep.
Okay, item G is opening of sidewalk repair sealed bids, and unfortunately, I have no bids to open. We did not get any response to our request again, like we did 2 years ago, so I don't know what we're going to have to do. do. We've got to address these sidewalks. But we've got to find somebody that wants to do the work. So I guess we'll just keep looking.
I put the word out to a couple people, and they said one was interested, lives in the township, I don't know his name, but Jack Perkins, I talked to him, and he was gonna tell this, I forgot who he was,
Oh,
that does masonry,
Yeah.
Tyler.
Jack's not interested. He's
No,
retired.
Jack-
Yeah, I know.
Jack and Ralph ain't interested.
I'd like to get him, but yeah, I know he retired. And I've got a couple other names, so that I'll contact. But if any of you have names, let me know.
Roger and Gary, they don't want nothing to do with it.
No.
Traders.
Okay. Item H is the quote from, again, Brian Superior Seal Coating in the amount of $475 to stripe the parking lot at Sundling Park and at Lagoon Creek Park.
I'll make the motion to go ahead and do that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kolonowski, second by Dean Cruz to approve the bid from Brian Superior Seal Coating in the amount of $475 to add striping at the parking lot at Sundling Park and at Lagoon Creek entrance. Lagoon Creek, there will be no handicap spots.
Why is that?
Striped. It's not really a parking lot, it's just kind of the entrance and, you know, people.
Oh, the entrance, okay.
Yeah, just the entrance. It's from the wall out to Red Apple.
Yeah.
Whereas at Sundling, there will be two handicap spots striped. That's, you know, the gravel parking area inside the wall that we had
That sure is
paved.
a nice improvement.
Yeah, both of them have been,
Yeah.
and they sure are
I don't know, it
getting
just seemed like me that ever since that was done, it looks like there's more people parking than there ever was. I mean.
used. I know.
The width of
Like
this
it the other day.
Yeah, there's a lot of overflow under Red Apple at Sundling too, as well, so, yeah. So, okay. No other, okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Public comment. Any other public comment? Yes.
Hi, sorry, not my voice. I'm Nancy Pack. I've been working with Larry Thompson, and I need the board's assistance on enforcing the current STR ordinance.
What was your
And I
name
wasn't
again?
sure. I'm Nancy Pack. I'm out at 4276 West Fox Drive, and I've been working with Larry for a couple months, and he's getting brushed off in the runaround and giving false information. That's frustrating for him and frustrating for me. But let me just, is this the appropriate to address this as a public comment? I'm not on new business or anything. All right, the address is 4282 Fox Farm Road. The property was purchased in 2021 by the Finneys. They also have another rental property out in our neighborhood. What's going on is they're not complying with their current STR. They're really milking it and taking advantage of the neighborhood, me in particular being next door, and the community, because they pulled no permits on either property. They're telling Larry they made no structural changes, and I can tell you they did. They moved, and because the builder and I became friends, moved entrances, took out fireplaces, added all kinds of things. So they're getting around the law. We are stuck in a neighborhood with having renters. The STR permit that Filer put in place, I do appreciate, because you guys tried really hard to put in reasonable rules to coexist. I have to live with that. I need them to live with it. They have 3 bedrooms. Their permit was issued for 3 bedrooms, which is 6 people, not including pre-owned children. Hey, preschool children. They're renting 8, 9, 10, 7 teenagers, 4 cars coming and going, way too much. All of this came about on a side issue where if we could look at revising, fine-tuning the SDR permit. Currently, they have a fire pit that's 10 inches, or 10 feet from their home, which is blowing into my window. They previously had it located on the lakeside. It didn't bother me. All of this has come up because I asked them, could they please, it's a stainless steel thing. They have a slate pad over there. Could they please put it back there? Because I have breathing issues. My granddaughter had RSV. My grandson has asthma. And they told me to go suck rocks. So I came to Larry. We started with the whole nuisance thing. Then he said, well, hey, did they ever pull any permits? I'm like, yeah, no. So I need them to stop. I need them to, at the very least, stop being able to advertise, which they are on VIO. I sent Larry the stuff. They're advertising it at 10 adults, not 6, which is their permit. They have it posted on their property as 8 adults. They're taking bookings now for next year and saying they converted a screen and porch to a 4th bedroom, so it's oh good, then you can apply in January. And you can get that inspected since you did nothing and didn't pull any permits. But right now I need you guys to protect me and send a letter demanding or asking nicely with a consequence within the ordinance you wrote. If you are violating the ordinance, your permit can be pulled. Your bookings that exceed the occupancy in excess of 60 days must be canceled. And I need some help here. We're getting run over. You guys did your work by putting the law on the books. I did my part. Larry's trying to do his part and getting lied to. No communication. Flat out nothing. Nothing. And he needs some backup. I am not a lawyer, but there is one present here. I don't know a small claims court. I can ask for a cease and desist for something that's endangering my property in violation of an ordinance or not. But is there anything that can be done to enforce this ordinance? And another thing, and yet another thing. If Molly was here, like I said, I watched the construction. I know what they did. I know on both places. They pulled no permits. They brought people up from Grand Rapids and housed them in one cottage while they worked on the other. Their property is valued only $30,000 more than my dirt driveway, no ceilings in the basement cottage, because it's at 138 and 135. So they're cheating the community too, not playing by the rules. They came in like carpetbaggers. They have no consideration for me. It was a reasonable request. And now I need to get some help from you guys to enforce this.
Richard, do you recall, has Larry contacted you?
Larry has not contacted me on this, but I'm certainly happy to discuss it with Larry. And
actually, he has, from his reports to me. He said he did speak to you after, you might not recall, there's a lot going on. He said he did contact you and speak to you after the last meeting regarding them adding the 4th bedroom, and that, yeah, you're Richard, that you had told them that they could apply for it next year as a 4th bedroom after it was inspected, but as of right now, their permit says 3 bedrooms. So
I thought you said they didn't pull. I thought you said they didn't pull a permit.
They didn't.
Oh.
I'm sorry. They didn't pull a permit. Larry checked. There have been no permits pulled.
Okay.
They're advertising it as on the street. On VRBO, they're advertising it at 10. When I contacted the property manager and said, hey, Catherine, your STR says 3 bedrooms, that's 6 adults. And she said, oh no, it's 4. I'm like, well, where's the 4th? And she goes, well, we converted the screened-in porch. I talked to Larry. Larry pulled the permit. He said, yeah, no, their permit's for 3 bedrooms. If it was constructed in March or April, they'll need to reapply for 4.
Excuse me, we're getting confused there. You said he pulled the permit. He pulled the records.
I'm sorry.
Showing the...
He pulled the application for the STR permit. Yes, I see where that was confused.
Did they pull an SDR permit and not a construction permit?
Correct.
I see, okay.
I apologize.
That's all right.
They pulled an STR permit only for 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
They only are permitted for 3. I don't think a screened-in porch should count, but that'll be something for next year's inspection. In the meantime, while I'm bringing this up now, is they are booked. They have brought in this year, they rent $5,000 a week. They are running me absolutely ragged with this. They're taking bookings for next year, advertising at 10. And I don't want another year of this, guys, and ladies and gentlemen. I need your help. I need the township to send out a letter to let them know they're in violation. They need to correct their advertising now and stop it until they are granted the appropriate permit. Larry's contacting the state. He's heard nothing back from them. And he sent a letter. I talked to him today. He said, I'm going to send the Finneys a letter saying they need to show me any permits they pulled from the state. Well, they didn't pull it.
Construction permits.
Yeah, they didn't pull any permits. He knows they didn't pull any from you guys. But on the other, they didn't pull any. The other thing that they did, which is just so sad, you know, it makes me so sad. They came and they cut after we've lost 30 feet due to erosion. I mean, 30 feet. Lake here, lake used to be out there. After all of that and all the trees going over, when they started this, they came out and they cut down 8 huge trees around that house to open it up to the sun. And I really think they needed a permit from the DEQ to take that. But they just opened this wind tunnel up for me, you know. I had my umbrella collapse the other day and I'm like, where'd the umbrella go? Well, it was on the tower. So could somebody please, and they're running this with 2 properties. So what assistance can I count on from you all?
Well, I guess we got to follow
procedures,
with Larry and certainly.
There's a procedure in place that he needs to follow.
Right.
And it includes letters.
I think we should get something done, because if they're in violation, we gotta let them.
Well, they're in violation currently, and they're riding the wave of the stall because they're booking reservations for next year that they're not authorized to do. And on the actionable, I would like, with Mr. Wilson's approval, Larry wasn't sure he needed to talk to Richard, to send a letter saying, you need to stop advertising at a capacity you're not authorized and taking bookings. Also, per the STR, if they're in violation, they're required to cancel bookings. They give them like I believe it's a 60-day grace period. But please, you know, this isn't just falling on me. This is like happening. You guys did a good job. You tried to find middle ground for people that need to rent, to cover bills, to do this a little bit or within reason. But they're expected too to be good citizens, to report the information, to pull the permits, to pay their fair share in taxes on the taxable value, not hide it in the woods and rake in all the profits. Meanwhile, I'm hacking and wheezing and have to leave my house. So that's all I got.
Okay, and Richard, if I'm recalling correctly, I think, didn't we have
language in there too for revocation of... Oh, sure, we can revoke the license.
licenses if, yeah, if there's
It's
a
all right,
violation,
yeah.
so,
Larry's been trying.
yeah.
They're ignoring him. Dr. Finney's playing the Dr. Finney card. We didn't do anything. We didn't move any walls. You look at the house, and you can see from the pictures when it was sold where the front entrance is, where it is now. That's structural, and there were more. All right, well, thank you.
Okay.
Could I expect anything in writing to go to them within the next week to 10 days to stop future bookings, advertise at 10, to correct their advertising and their street sign that is advertising above their permit?
Richard, you got a reply for that question? Excuse me.
Yeah, I can get a letter out. I need to talk to Larry.
Yeah, I know you gotta consult
exactly what
Larry.
the process is under the ordinance. I haven't looked at it in a while.
Is there any way we could also get the state involved when we're not taking permits out? Because that affects taxable value of the
Yeah.
property.
Oh, sure, yeah, no, I think you can make a claim someplace for the construction bureau. But I don't know, I think Larry should just go out and inspect it, see what, and if they don't let him in, we'll give them.
Can the assessor go with him? And
The
reassess
assessor
the
can go,
property?
the assessor can go anytime,
Well, that would put a little fear of God in them.
right?
Or they aren't afraid of me.
Yeah. We'll follow up on that then.
In a, no offense, in a timely manner.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, because TikTok, I see my next summer. It was a really difficult summer on it, and it doesn't need to be that way. That's a little place. I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other public comment tonight? Okay, anything else for the good of the cause tonight? Dean, have you got anything else? Dale? Anything?
No.
Shirley?
No, not at this time.
Brian?
No.
Tom?
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, and I have nothing else tonight, so with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kolonowski, second by Dean Cruz to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
And we'll
Meeting
see
is
you,
adjourned.
see you Thursday then?